Hello, everybody out there, and welcome back to another episode of the Dark Avenger Comic Book Review. This is episode 498, which means only 2 episodes until 500, including this one. I miss Jeffrey. Why would you do that?
It's something to remember.
You're not funny.
I try. You almost hit my tablet. How dare you?
Shut up.
You too. Let's just go.
Anyway, no pre-review show this week. Might come back next week. Might be in 500. Not sure yet. But real quick, before we get into the review, I want to mention I have a new video on the channel, on the new channel. Kind of giving everybody an update because I haven't done too many videos this month. I've been very busy setting up for what's going to be a really awesome, I hope, 1st of July video live show. Teaser again. I'm poking everyone with these teasers about the day of 500 live show. I will be posting it. As a matter of fact, when 499 comes out, I will be setting up the live show for the day of July 1st. So it is going to be at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern. We will be doing it at 9. I will, like I said, this episode's going to go up. We're going to record 499 next weekend, and then right after 499 goes up, I will be setting up the live show for post 500. And then, of course, we'll be recording 500 and then the live show that night. I'm really excited. I hope all of you are really excited. There's a few things that still have to go on, a few things I still have to work on, but I'm positive it will be ready by the time we are set to go.
Yep.
But go check out the new video. It kind of gives you all kind of a background on what's been going on with me the past couple of days, and Mike's got a couple of new videos on his channel, and might give you a little teaser for what's coming in the summer from all of us, possibly, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. Honestly, I'm trying to keep very tight-lipped about what the live show on July 1st is going to entail, even though I know a lot of you are going to be expecting, because I keep saying ending, new beginning, a lot of you are going to be expecting what I talk about when it comes to the new channel and what I'm going to be doing over there. At the same time, I'm hoping that maybe 1 or 2 things will be a surprise.
Yep.
We'll see. But anyway, let's get into this week's review before I start dropping hints that I don't want to do because I've been good. I've been very good.
Yes, you have
to this
been.
point. So, this week was a medium week.
Sort of.
Sort of. It was a 50-50 week. I think I read about... No... Yeah, about the same.
Well, a good portion altogether. We do have 19 books.
So this was a big week.
That all came out on June 12th, 2019.
Second week of June.
Yep.
Which means 2 weeks left. Like I said, 500.
Yep. We already said the 2 and everything.
We're chugging right along in the month. And this is another series we're starting off. See, now we're going to get emotional again because now we're getting to the books that... I'm ending the show before the miniseries ends. Unnatural, issue number 10. The fight with the albino within Lilith's mind. I feel so bad for her because she's trying so hard. She tried to kill herself in the last issue, didn't work. Now she's fighting against the albino in her own mind. There's some backstory with the mother. Poor Cal loses his eye, or Kale, however you pronounce his name. Just so much is going on. But the one thing that we see at the end of the issue is the fact that I hope I'm saying her name right. I feel like I'm wrong in a way. Leslie. See, I said Lilith. It's Leslie. Leslie might be snapping out of or breaking free of the albino's control because of the ending, which I don't want to spoil. So this is getting good. Wow. This is the last chapter in the series. I'm loving Unnatural. One thing I will say before the Dark Avenger series is over is Unnatural has been a really amazing story. It's for mature readers, though. There is nudity. There are some things in the book that I would say mature readers only. But again, really, I've been enjoying it. I would definitely recommend it.
There's a new issue number 1 that came out that's Red Sonja related. Red Sonja, Birth of the She-Devil, issue number 1. I will make warning that this is a heavy dialogue, but I got.
Oh, I have a heavy dialogue, but we'll get to that.
But I have got what it's about. Basically, she's on the quest for the.
Oh, you think that's heavy dialogue?
Wait. She goes for this Heartstone, and she's trying to. I'm trying to get her name. That she is trying to protect. I do like the artwork though. The
artwork looks really good.
The artwork looks really stunning in an amazing way. She's trying to look for Sashana. Shoshana is who she's looking for, and she's going on this voyage to find her, but it looks like that in the end it didn't go out to the way she planned it to be, and it's a whole big thing of what happens that leads into the next issue. But it was a really great issue nonetheless. Xena, Warrior Princess, issue number 3, where she, Gabrielle, and this other one have been warped to another dimension. And where they went off to, we don't know until this issue. So they're at the Mirador Basin, and afterwards they're just trying to find out where the sorceress is of who can help them with getting back into their time, because they're in a different time zone, like I said in the beginning. I like how they meet up with these warriors, both Xena and Gabrielle, that try to help them out with this. And what's really actually funny is that in the end, after the whole fight thing happened, of what was going to happen, now they're sent to somewhere else. That's not in Greece. They don't know where they are now, but it looks like very snowy and very cold. To be continued.
Star Trek issue, the Q conflict. Issue number 5. The Borg are in this one, and the contest is to get the Borg Queen. There's some stuff about Q also. I will mention that. There is a lot in the beginning of the issue with Q, but they have to get the Borg Queen, and Picard's team actually gets there. But I like how they're all thinking outside the box a bit now. Like, Kirk tries using a shuttle. He gets there late though. Another one tries using a portal, and they're working on this portal that's going to be able to, so they'll be able to cross over into each of their ships, because they don't trust Q, of course. So they're devising their own little plan while they play along with what's going on, and I'm really interested in seeing how this all is going to end. But I'm loving the Q conflict. I'm loving seeing in a way, I wish that IDW would have, like, you know how every brand, like Marvel has Star Wars, and, IDW has the Transformers universe, TMNT universe. I really wish that they would do something with Star Trek. I really wish we can get, well, we already have now, the original Star Trek has their own new line. Issue 2 came out, 3 is this month. Next Generation is a bunch of miniseries, but I would love to see Next Generation on an ongoing cycle. Voyager, the only difference between Voyager and the rest of them is Voyager's whole plot was that they were lost in space and they wanted to get home. They're home now. So technically, Voyager would be a mixture of Next Generation and their own voyages, which is fine. I could read that. I would like that. And then you have like Deep Space Nine and all this other stuff. You could do like a Star Trek universe kind of deal. So you'd have Next Generation, you'd have the previous gen, which is Star Trek, with Kirk, what they're doing now with Kirk. And then you have like they did with TMNT universe, Star Trek universe, where you can kind of reach into Deep Space Nine or future story. Like literally each arc is a different story with a different team if you want. You could jump into the future where Riker got his own ship at the end of the last Star Wars movie. Star Trek. Somebody would kill me for saying that. Star Trek movie. So you got that. You got Picard when he was younger, before he became captain. There's so much that could be done, and would make the Q conflict is proof that having a crossover, every once in a while wouldn't be a bad thing either. So I'm definitely for that. I guess we'll have to wait and see what IDW plans, but I would like to see an ongoing with Next Generation, and this is honestly the last time I'm going to be talking about it. I think there's one more issue left of the Q conflict. So I'm kind of sad, and again, that is going to go into the pot of these are our last issues. I have to find a way to talk about them. I might find, again, especially with series only one issue away from completion, I will find a way.
Marvel Action Spider-Man, issue number 5, We have Kraven the Hunter.
I like that they did that, especially when in Amazing Spider-Man, I know we're not in Marvel yet, they actually have an epilogue with Kraven, which we'll get into.
Yeah, and actually, that was actually weird, actually, that Kraven's in this issue, because in this issue, of course, you have the Spider-Man, you see them going through their little, whatchamacallit, complications outside of being Spider-Man or Spider-Gwen in that one. Meanwhile, I have J. Jonah Jameson talking with Kraven, and Kraven's on the hunt to get the Spider-Man, and he actually sees them.
I like that they have this, like, they all got their powers at the same time, so they're all kind of learning how to be Spider People together.
Exactly. And they fight off against the Cyborg Avengers, all the Spider-Men. And the thing is that Kraven captures Miles and Spider-Gwen. So now there's only one more left that Kraven has to capture, which is Peter Parker Spider-Man. So that actually, but this was a really great issue. It was a fun read, actually. I really enjoyed that. Robyn Hood Outlaw issue number 5.
That's funny because you also have Red Hood Outlaw this week. Jeez, you got books that are...
And this is actually one more away from concluding it.
Well, you do reviews on Frontline, so I'm sure you probably would do the last review. Oh, you don't? Okay. I thought you... Topic time, yeah.
But Robyn Hood Outlaw, issue number 5, one more issue away until we conclude Robyn Hood. And, it just... It brings the memories of, like, reading the first Robyn Hood after I met with Patrick Shan, even though this one's by Dave Fricini and Howard Mackey.
It is weird seeing a Robyn Hood book without Pat Chen, because Pat's the one that started it. I know he didn't own or but at the same time it's weird. But he has a lot of awesome books now. If you look up Pat Chen, him and his wife, there are a lot of really awesome books.
I saw some of them on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So they're on the underground tunnel while they're trying to look for ways of, like, since it's the last issue, we have to find out what's going to happen with Greenwich, like, of what's going to happen to her. So she encounters all these demonic things underground, which I can't really say if they're entities or not because of the way that it's told or something. But it looks like that there's going to be more to explain as to the next issue, because it looks like the Spragian.
I don't know.
I don't know, maybe if you...
Stridigan?
Yeah, if it's familiar to you, but it's to be concluded in next month's issue of that.
We're going into the big two now, and we're starting with Marvel.
Yes, Age of Conan Belit, issue number 4. So Belit actually has a little backstory at first where it talks about how her father was on a voyage and how she was a baby and where the mother was, because she's actually looking for what happened to the mother, because we all know what happened to the father and everything. I'm fortunate for that. So that's what her voyage is actually explaining more of what she's going after. And from what this is showing about her going up against the other pirate ships, because her, she never backs down from a fight. And also the father's, I can't remember what his name was, that was alongside of him, that took the daughter in because of what happened with the mother, has been trying to help her. And it looks like that there's something of a curse that has affected Belit. And we're going to have to find out in the next issue how this guy, which I can't remember his name, will help her with that.
Superior Spider-Man issue number 7, continuing with the crossover in the War of the Realms. Or War of the Realms?
War of the
Realms, okay. This time, we got Doc Ock teaming up with West Coast Avengers. That's what this entire book is about, as they fight the Ice Giants. I love the back and forth. I love that Quentin Quire likes Doc Ock. The personalities are so connected. And then, of course, the book ends with him saying the die is cast, and then you have Quentin saying, that sounds so bad, it's actually cool. And I'm like,
wow.
Yeah, it reminds me when Mike Spider-Slayer used to start saying that. Remember when we started saying that all the time? Because it's so bad that it became cool. And I like the back and forth. I love how Pete kind of reached out with all the superheroes and said, he gets a second chance. So now, like, it's less them being against Doc Ock and more them teaming up with him again now. So, like, the West Coast Avengers didn't fight him like Doctor Strange did at first. They're kind of like working together. And if you've never read West Coast Avengers, you get a taste of it, especially with Gwenpool. And I liked it. I like how she not only breaks the fourth wall, but she actually knows she's in a comic book, and she taught. And it was a fun read all around. And honestly, it would definitely get you to check out West Coast Avengers. I will say that. Kind of sad that series ended, but at the same time, this was fun to read. I enjoyed it, and the team up continues in the next issue.
The Punisher, issue number 12. He is back in New York City.
Is this crossing over to New York, the War of the Realms?
No, it's not. No,
okay, so his are specifically in the minis.
This is just War on the Street, so this is totally
it's disconnected, right? Realms, yeah, no, right. He's got his minis instead, which is fair.
Right, so we still have, of course, the Hail Hydra team who is still going after.
So he's still dealing with all the stuff that happened
Zumo
after.
And everything.
He's still dealing with the stuff from Secret Empire, basically.
Yes, with the Hail Hydra and everything. So, really interesting story. I mean, it does show some of the Punisher, like not in so many of the whatchamacallit, the covers, but in some essences of him just, of course, killing some of his teammates that helped him get to where he is, and then just taking the boat. They show one where they're at Coney Island, which I thought was actually pretty funny, and looks like that he's going to be going to see little good old Mayor Fisk, who welcomes Prime Minister Zemo to New York, who is the leader of Hail Hydra.
Oh, boy.
That's going to be something in the next issue.
Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man issue number 7. I enjoy Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. So May is opening up a shelter for people who are homeless. And actually the book opens up with Spider-Man protecting a homeless guy. And May, we find out, doesn't have the coverage for the chemo. So she has a bill that's astronomically high. And anyway, she opens up the shelter, and then you get these businesses. It is very connected to reality here a little bit, where, she wants to open the shelter, but businesses around the area are worried real estate will go down because she's opening this shelter. And it's a deep moment. It really is. And again, it brings a bit of reality into the comics. You've got Pete out in the streets of Spider-Man. There's a silent alarm that goes off later on that night, and somebody's looking to destroy the shelter. And I love how Boomerang shows up, his roommate, to help out, and it turns out the Prowler's there. So all this is going on. There's a fire in the shelter, and now Spider-Man saves the day, but now the shelter's on fire.
Why does Prowler look like Deadpool, kinda?
That's the Prowler.
Oh, he looks like Deadpool.
So everybody leaves except for Spider-Man, who makes sure nobody's left in the burning building, and May's there with everyone from the shelter. And now the question is, who did it? That's where we're going to lead into the next issue with.
The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 23, Hunted Epilogue, is featured in this.
I liked how featured.
The Hunted Epilogue.
I don't think it's featured. I think that's what it is. Yeah, I think that's what the issue is. It's not featured. It is the issue.
Well, it is.
Oh, okay.
It's in it. Featured's in it.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. So it just starts off with Kraven's son, who actually is still trying to snap out of the whole thing of what happened with who he is.
He's coping with it, yeah.
And coping with it. Meanwhile, we have everybody who's snapping out of the thing, and it looks like that the what's his name? Black Ant, yeah. Looks like that he's gonna be joining a group called the Savage Six.
Oh,
with Vulture leading it.
So now Vulture's leading the Savage Six instead of the Sinister Six.
It looks like that Taskmaster actually helped him out, and just took him out of there. Even though that they betrayed each other, he actually helped him out in this one. Meanwhile, you have Connors and everyone that's all together. Connors. And Pete went to go check on MJ because
who wasn't dead, and she was okay.
Yeah, she was okay. Everything was fine. And
it just ends with Kraven's son. It goes into the whole son becomes the father becomes the son, because basically the legacy is passed down to Kraven's son, that he is now Kraven the Hunter.
And it looks like the Chameleon's going to be coming back.
Oh, I missed that part. That was a little...
That was after this. She didn't scroll all the way down where they're at the cemetery and there's a Chameleon. To be continued. You got to scroll down. Because you missed it.
I missed that. I'm going to check that out.
Spider-Man life story for the 90s.
This was a good
really,
issue
really good.
Because this was the whole clone thing where they reveal that Pete wasn't, but he was, and then...
Yeah, with the whole him versus Dr. Octavius. And then Ben Reilly actually appears in this issue also.
Yeah, and Ben, You go ahead and use.
All right. Well, anyway, so after the whole fight thing that happened with each other,
and May is dead, by the way. Aunt May dies.
Right, and Doc Ock is actually not
happy about it.
Happy about that. So after he takes him into the laboratory,
and he finds out that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, FYI,
with the whole clone thing, and Harry Osborn's there. The whole fight breaks loose, and then Harry Osborn sacrifices himself, and he dies
to protect Pete.
Right, and then there's a whole thing where. I like how Peter and Ben have this talk with each other about, with...
but it's all
great power
orchestrated.
And great responsibility.
Yeah, the whole thing was orchestrated by Norman Osborn, and in reality, Peter is Peter, and Ben is really Ben Reilly. He just tried to ruin Peter Parker's life, and it didn't work because in the end, he basically left Ben Reilly.
And Norman is actually alive. I thought he wasn't alive when this whole thing happened.
Well, he isn't by the time the issue is over because he has a heart attack.
There's a whole thing, yeah.
Yeah, but basically Pete uses this as an opportunity to pass Parker Industries as well as being Spider-Man over to Ben,
right?
And he goes home to Mary Jane.
Yeah, next issue is the 2000s.
That's going to be interesting.
So yeah, that is actually going to be interesting. And finally, one more thing from Marvel, Symbiote Spider-Man. Issue number 2. Three. Yeah, I thought you said 3. 2.
The Betrayal of Black Cat.
But is it really a betrayal?
Did you read it? I thought that was my book.
I read it.
Oh, okay, you read it too.
But I'm going to tell you what it's about. Like, basically, after Mysterio talks with this guy who is...
working with Kingpin, who's one of Kingpin's top scientists or whatever.
So that he wants to try to blackmail him and stuff like that. Meanwhile, you have Spider-Man facing off against Electro and talking with Black Cat. And
Mysterio goes to Black Cat. Yeah.
And makes a job offer for her.
Well, he makes a deal, basically.
A deal, but giving her a job to bring him the black suit Spider-Man costume. And then
a piece of it.
Or piece of it. And at first she's like saying, I can't do that to him. And then all of a sudden she's like saying, you'll regret this. Even though she wants to regret it herself. And then there's this whole bound chicka wow that happens between her and Black Cat. And, well, she gets a sample of it. And
it looks like the costume is taking a life of its own now a little bit.
Yeah, because it just turns him
just
right
gets
back
up.
into that. Yep.
I'm wondering if it's going to take Pete on a ride while he's asleep.
Yeah, and then also, there was a little thing at the end also. So, and then the Twin Towers right there too. I didn't notice that until just now. Look at that. And that's all for Marvel. Now we're going to DC.
All right, we're starting off with Wonder Comics, Wonder Twins, issue number 5. This is going to be my last. Well, it's the end of the comic review anyway, so this is the last issue I'm going to be reading though. Wonder Twins is just not my cup of tea. I literally got, and it could again be because I read this as one of my last books. I just lost interest halfway through the book and just didn't want to finish it. I closed it. I said I'd come back later. I got to the part where the girl's father, who was working for the farm team Legion of Doom, dies, and she joins the Scrambler, and I think that was actually closer to the end than I'm giving it credit for. And I just kind of lost interest. I know I skimmed the rest of the book. I still have to read it. I know that the Scrambler breaks into the Hall of Justice's computer somehow. And I don't know. I don't know if it was the mention that this was going into a 12-issue maxi, or the fact that I really didn't enjoy the previous issue, or maybe I'm just falling out of Wonder Twins. Maybe it's a combination of a little bit of everything, but in the end, I'm not really as interested in Wonder Twins. The pitch for the series moving forward also did not, if anything, it kind of made me go, okay, yeah, I'm not really into another 6 issues of this. Unlike Dial H, where I'm like, yes, 6 more issues of Dial H. So I won't be reading any more Wonder Twins. Batman and the Outsiders, issue number 2. We find out in this issue that Caliber actually was working with Batman. He was there before the Outsiders team got there. He was trying to keep the girl whose name left my mind at the moment. I think he might have mentioned it in the beginning. Safe from the people who are trying to extract her, and we find out, not really a spoiler alert because the person's on the next cover. He's protecting her from Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins, who basically want to take her and train her to work for them with her powers. So he's keeping her safe. You get a little backstory about him. There's an attack. The Outsiders jump in to help out. Excalibur tries to help out, and it kind of goes awry, and they end up taking the girl. To be continued. Definitely stronger this time around for issue 2 for me. I don't know if we'll find out tomorrow night on Frontline Live, or tonight because you're probably watching this Tuesday night morning. We'll find out tomorrow if everybody on Frontline felt the same. I thought this was a bit of a stronger issue than the first issue, but again, Bruce is still not willing to work with this team. And while he is the one that created the Outsiders, while he is the one that is starting the Outsiders, if it's called Batman the Outsiders, get the man in his suit and let him help out, or just call the book The Outsiders and have Batman guest in it. Literally putting his name in the book to bring up eyes on the cover, or eyes on the series, so to speak. Kind of like the way they switched up Superman, Batman, World's Finest to now Batman and Superman, which is coming out in another 2 months. Kind of a little letdown there that they switched up names. I don't care. I'll still be reading it, but I'm just saying, for Outsiders, though, if Batman is not going to be in the team, even if he's just guesting, he is guest starring then. It should be just called The Outsiders.
Red Hood Outlaw, issue number 35, where we have Red Hood that is confronting with Essence. I like the beginning part of the story where the father introduces him to the world and everything, and then Jason Todd doesn't see what the father saw when he was a little baby. But we have him also talking with what's this Batman name?
Bat Knight?
Bat Knight, thank you. And they have a little bit of a talk with each other. Meanwhile, he also talks with Susie about plans that he has in store. And that's where he fights off against Essence just for a battle's sake, where he's like saying, I don't want to hurt you, but, why you call the all cast. So they just have basically a talk with each other as they're fighting. And, of course, in the end, we all knew this was going to happen.
Penguin's back.
Yeah, the Penguin's back. I was like saying I knew it. I said the last issue when I knew he was going to come back in this one. It was very predictable. Mm-hmm. I will say that, very predictable.
Superman issue number 12. Yeah, the fight with Rolgolzar in space continues. Now, before we get into this, I do want to mention, I wasn't going to add it just for this last episode. Supergirl is crossing over with this right now. So if you want to see Supergirl's side of what's going on right here, you can check it out. Supergirl, this issue and next issue, I believe, both will be crossing over with Superman.
What, this one?
The House of El, yes. It's called The Unity, The House of El. So Supergirl will be involved. She tells Superman that, yes, Rolgolzar is the one that destroyed Krypton, and it was all a plan of the Circle, and Jor-El was involved in a way. And see, this is where I start to go, really? This is where I don't like, and it doesn't have to be Bendis. It could be any writer. Krypton was destroyed because of its own, people weren't paying attention to the way the planet was. Now you're throwing in, Krypton was actually put on a hit list, and Jor-El knew, but he didn't want to tell anyone. He was just warning them that the planet was unstable, but all the while knew about the Circle and knew what they were doing. And this is where I start to go, no. This is where you change the past, and it's like one of those things where you kind of hope that a future writer will hit a reset button on it, because that's just stupid. That Rolgolzar actually did destroy Krypton. Now, I haven't caught up with Supergirl yet, so I really don't know what's been said, but she tells Superman that, so I'm taking it as a reader of only Superman, that's fact. And Zod warns Superman a bit. He takes him away for a super speed moment and talks with him about Jor-El and about the Circle and everything, and that he's really just on Rolgolzar's side because, he wanted to get out of the Phantom Zone. They have to team up to stop him, whatever. And the book ends with him confronting his father. Basically, John and Supergirl go off with Krypto somewhere else, and Superman stays behind with Jor-El, and he says, "So, Mr. Oz, Jor-El, Grandpa, who are you?" And it leaves me saying, if it's not Jor-El, who is it? And obviously, if they were part of the Circle, that undoes everything that we thought Dr. Manhattan did, pulling Jor-El out of time. But actually, Superman went back in time and saw it, so I don't know. I just feel like it's very, like, you're taking stuff that's been done and over with, and now you're bringing it back. See, first of all, Jor-El died again. That Jor-El died during the Dan Jurgens, Peter J. Tomasi, both their runs, when Superman came back. Now Bendis took over, and all of a sudden Jor-El is alive again. He wasn't killed by Dr. Manhattan, which made no sense. It literally came out of left field because Superman saw his father leave again. Like, he saw him be erased from time again and left him a warning about Dr. Manhattan. But now Jor-El is back, and I have no clue if maybe after Doomsday Clock somehow Jor-El came back. Maybe. Maybe this takes place after Doomsday Clock. I don't know for sure. But there's a lot wrong, I feel, in the Superman books right now. And again, Bendis is moving on with other books. He's doing the Leviathan event. He's part of the Villains year, the Year of the Villains. And now it's been reported he will be writing Legion of Superheroes coming out in September, adding yet another book to this man's writing pile. So very soon we might as well just call this. I mean, how many books can this man write at once? I feel bad for him. And he's co-writing Legion. He's not writing it alone. But I feel bad for Bendis. He's literally got 11 books under his belt that he's doing monthly now. And if you don't think the books are going to suffer, I wish this review would be around one more year, because a year from now, I guarantee you, well, I don't review most of Bendis' books, but I guarantee you most of those books will either end, he'll leave, or they're just, some series are going to tank for the prosperity of other series. And it worries me for Young Justice, and it worries me for Superman, because we haven't heard of any new teams coming on for Superman. There's a different team for Batman Superman, so that's one Superman book that Bendis won't have his hands on, but we have no clue about any of the other series or books. So I just hope this Rogol-Zar thing ends soon. We're done with it. And actually, there's another book where Lois kind of makes mention that Superman's in space, so that kind of makes me believe that Leviathan and this is going on at around the same time. But again, middle book for me. Middle book. I loved, one thing I will say I loved was the part where Superman's reunited with Supergirl, with John and Krypto, and they all have that love, that hug moment. That was awesome. That was perfectly done. And you have Jor-El watching on, seeing that he'll never be a part of that because they've been there with each other for so many years, you know. But and I feel bad for anybody who wants John to go back being young. I don't see that happening either. I don't. I have a feeling that's going to stick too, unless a new writer comes on and somehow de-ages him. But I think Bendis is going to be on this book for at least another year. At the very least. I don't know. I'm talking too long about this. Detective Comics issue number 1005. However, the Arkham Knights arc is over. Batman versus the Arkham Knight. She basically blinds all of Gotham. She shines a light down on Gotham that's so bright that it blinds everyone except for her people, and Batman and Robin, of course, because they have the what do you call those? They're like, not sunglasses, but they have blinders to the extreme light that's being shined right now. You got Batman fighting people that are part of the Arkham Knights team. You have Robin fighting people that are part of the Arkham Knights team, and then you have the grand fight between the Arkham Knight and him. Fight goes on. He destroys the machine. The light is gone. Unfortunately, Gotham's going to be blind for a little while. The Arkham Knight gets taken to jail, or we think, until the end of the issue, where it turns out one of her followers actually rescues her. And the day is, we move on. The writer here writes Batman and Robin very much like the 90s, right before they made Batman uber broody. And I like that. I actually like that. I really enjoyed this arc of Detective Comics. However, I'll probably keep it as a digital. I don't think I'll be getting the trade for Arkham Knight. I might. I'm not sure. But the artwork's really good. Definitely something to check out. 5 issues of it. And it really went well. I feel it went really well. So definitely check that out. And we're concluding with, like I mentioned, Bendis, who is doing Event Leviathan. And this is issue number 1. So all this setup happened in Superman just to come here. And Superman's not going to be, at least not for now, in Event Leviathan. First of all, the artwork's very dark, but not bad. I'm okay with it. The dialogue. You want to talk dialogue? There's your dialogue dump. Because there's a huge dialogue dump between Batman, Lois Lane, and Steve Trevor. Steve Trevor explaining that one of those creatures that does the big explodey thing happens right at the center where he's at. And they're going back and forth about how it looks like they're framing Steve Trevor and Lois Lane. So Lois is the Superman connection here in Event Leviathan, but Superman is no longer a part of Event Leviathan. It's Batman, Lois Lane, and it looks like Green Arrow.
That?
Green Arrow.
No, this one.
Oh, that's the question.
Yeah, that is the question.
It is. So apparently they have to figure everything out in one night or else Leviathan is going to win. So my guess here with Event Leviathan is... and there's also a sum up at the beginning of the issue where it kind of sums up everything that went on in the Superman, on the Superman side in Action Comics leading up to Leviathan. So they have one night to do all this before Leviathan succeeds. I think this entire miniseries is going to take place in the course over one night. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it'll go further, but it looks like this is a time-sensitive thing where they have to stop Leviathan now before it's too late. And the miniseries will be all taking place over the course of one night. I could be wrong. But, yeah, Superman's connection to Leviathan, 0. So the whole setup in Action Comics, doesn't matter. I mean, unless Action Comics is connected again, I'm going to start really keeping an eye on previews a bit more. I feel like I'm going to have to. But to my knowledge, Action Comics is going to be moving forward with something else now, and it involves the people that own the Daily Planet, and it's going to... Actually, no, I'm right. I think Action Comics now, moving forward, is going into the Year of the Villains, starting with the very next issue. So Leviathan's done. Leviathan's going to have its miniseries on the side where Batman's going to is getting the spotlight. So it got set up in Superman, but Batman is going to be the main superhero in this book alongside Lois Lane and possibly Green Arrow, because Green Arrow's in it. Really, Bendis? You had to spend so many Action Comics issues to set this miniseries up, and Superman's not even in the book? Really? Really?
Really?
And this is the part where I say I'm on the fence with Leviathan. However, it was intriguing enough that I will continue reading it. In the physical format, though, unless I see that Superman's involved directly, I might be moving this to a digital and or trade. Because it's not connected to the Superman series. We'll have to see. Yep. But anyway, that's it for now. So, as always, now it's your turn, everybody. Let us know what you thought about the books that came out this week. Likes, dislikes, agree, disagree, recommendations. We'd love to hear from each and every one of you. And yeah, love to hear from your comments. And with that, only one more episode until 500. Yep. So, thank you all so much for being here. And we'll see you all in the next episode.
Yep. See you all later.